Welcome everybody from the Sparx Systems YouTube channel. My name's Scott. I'm joined today by Stephen. Good morning, Stephen. How are you today?
Good morning, Scott. I'm very well, thank you.
That is very good to hear. So I understand today we're going to be looking at issues, changes, defects, but this time we're looking at how to model them on a diagram. Is that correct?
That's right, Scott. That's exactly what we're going to be doing today. So let's have a quick recap here. We're using a case study here of a digital urban parking meter system, and we've done a number of UML models. We've done all the class diagrams, the component diagrams, all of the 14 of the UML diagrams. And then we looked at some features of the tool that can help us visualize those things. And one of the things we looked at a little while ago in one previous video was the construct ribbon and the fact that we had change management and project management here as panels on that ribbon, and they have a number of elements there. Now those items there, Scott, they'll bring up a dialog or a box for us to be able to put particular changes or defects against an element in a list. But what we're going to look at today is the ability to actually model these things as elements. So as always, we are going to start with setting our perspective. We go up to the top right-hand part of the application. And this morning I've been working on reviews and discussions earlier today. And I want to change my perspective now to a project management. What we get up here is the perspective set, so groups of perspectives. And the one I want to look at is construction there. And I'm going to change that to project management. So I click that one and the tool focuses our attention to all things to do with project management. So let's have a look at our repository. The repository structure has been set to categorize these UML diagrams. Let's start making some changes here to the package structure. And of course, Enterprise Architect allows anyone to do that, but some care should be taken to create packages that are useful for people to navigate through and to act as the containers for your modeled elements. So we're going to put another one in here. We're going to call it product management. I'm staying away from the project management word. It brings up, for some people, it brings up ideas of, more traditional forms of development. But we're going to look at some future videos. People tune into a future video at some of the ways to model agile projects and iterative development. So as a precursor to that, we're doing this product management package here. We're going to put that one in and let's create some sub packages there. And what we do want to look at, we want to look at issues. I can quickly create these. I'm going to turn this option off and say package only for the moment. I'll say package only there, get my package. And now I'm going to put in another package for, let's have a look at changes. And a third one, which we're going to look at defects. So with those packages there, let's create a diagram at this level here of the product management, and we'll call this diagram. You see a project management diagram pops up because we changed perspective, and let's call this issues, changes, and defects. So we'll have that diagram. We're planning to put issues, changes, and defects onto the one diagram. So we'll create that diagram there, and that pops up, and notice the toolbar has come up here with the elements that are applicable to project management. Down here in the work items, we have a number of elements to do with the kind of things that you might want to describe in a work item that's project that's going along. So we've got epics and user stories tasks. We've got an issue here. Let's put this issue onto the diagram. Notice it pops up there. I'm going to put in some text there, and the text is inconsistent network connectivity in urban canyon areas. So this is our parking meter, and we've it's a digital one. It's all connected and things. Let's have a look at this but we put it in, it's an issue. So let's have a look at that, and we'll put some text in around that as well, Scott, to explain, what's going on with that inconsistent communication issue there. So let me just put some notes in here for that, and let's do this. We'll these into bullet points. So we've got formatted notes there. So GPS and cellular communication interrupted by tall buildings, a common thing to happen in an urban environment. So let's now create another one. But before we do that, you can see this issue one's gone into that diagram. I'm going to drag it into the issues package there, and I'm going to bring issues, raise that up in the list underneath product management. So I can do that just using the browser toolbar and the little arrow icons to move it up or down. So let's do that. I've moved issues there. Let's move it up one more. Issues, changes, and defects. And you can see that the little icon for issues, clearly sort of indicates that it's an issue there. Let's have a look at a change, and let's have a look at this. It's rather a contentious one, Scott, but an interesting one is we'll bring in a change element from here. We'll drag it onto the diagram as well. And this one is implement dynamic pricing based on real-time parking demands. So, the council in charge of these parking meters, wants to increase the revenue that's coming from those and make, people more responsive to staying in parking places for shorter periods of time. So let's have a look at that one, and we'll again put in some some notes about that and explain what's going on. We put that in there. So develop an algorithm that adjusts parking rates, encourage more efficient use of parking spaces, and manage urban traffic flow. So there's a two-sided thing there, that we're not only trying to deal with these peak and off-peak hours, but also try to encourage efficient use of the parking. Again, we're going to move that change up into the changes package. And
now, I noticed when you did that, in brackets under one of them it says from issues, and in the other it's got in brackets from changes. So is that telling you where they're located, or how does that work?
Good observation, Scott. What it's doing is it's telling you that particular item comes from that package in the repository or project browser. So you can see that inconsistent network connectivity in urban areas is actually inside the issues package. And so it's a really good indication on the diagram, about where these things are located. So yeah, that's well picked up, Scott. Let's look at putting a defect in, and we'll put that defect in here. And the defect is intermittent touchscreen connectivity. So that's a defect. And let's put some notes in about that explain what it is. I encourage anyone listening to the video is to take the time to put notes in, because it's very easy to put some elements in. You can see how quick that is to do in Enterprise Architect. But the name can sometimes tell the story, but Enterprise Architect has got this notes field, effectively, descriptions that you can put in that detail more information. You can put anything in there you want, and as you can see, you can format those notes as well.
And I imagine with a large project in 10 months' time, it might be difficult to remember some of the finer details about some of those elements.
Exactly, Scott. And you don't realize that you might have literally hundreds or even thousands of people working on a particular project, and they may come from outside your organization and not have information and understanding about your project or the things that are in it. And so having the notes there to explain it will save times on having to have meetings and things. And that's one of the good things about Enterprise Architect. I think it's one of the powerful things is this collaboration features where someone puts the notes in there, and then other people that are looking at the model all see those notes, and everyone's got the same view of that. We just put this defect onto the diagram. Let's have a look at your previous comment, Scott, where we talked about the little annotation underneath the element. So let's move this one as we did before and put it into defects, and you see immediately that pops up. Now let's do a little bit of little bit of work with layout. Use the layout ribbon here. I'm going to make all these the same size. I'm going to left align them, and I'll
Yep.
space them down evenly. Now, let me do something else, Scott, which we've looked at a couple of times, is the compartments panel of the properties window. I'm just going to turn on the notes, and that while the notes are able to be seen when people are using the model and navigating through the model, if someone was to print out documentation from this model, the notes wouldn't be able to be seen unless they're on the diagram or included into the particular template. Now, I've just changed that. I'm going to show how easy it is now just to, rearrange these things a little bit. I'm going to select all those again, same height and width. And what I'm going to do is, narrow those down a little bit, or make them a bit wider there. And I'm just going to control the height of those as well. I'm holding the control key down and using the up arrow there to make them smaller. So again, let's just see how easy it is to apply this. They're all there. We've aligned them all up, and it's all easy to look at. So now let's go to the core of what we've been doing, and that is, let's open up a structural model and a class model, and let's have a look at what we can relate this to. Well, actually, if we go back here and see it, the inconsistent network connectivity with urban areas, that's from issues. So we've got inconsistent implement dynamic pricing based on that intermittent touchscreen responsiveness. So let's look at this class diagram here, and let's select these two elements. So I can just select those in the diagram. I'm holding the control key down and pressing copy, the standard Windows keystrokes for copying, which are available in Enterprise Architect. I'm going to select this diagram again. Now I'm going Control V to paste them in. So notice that they changed because in the previous diagram we didn't have notes showing, and in this one we do. So let's rearrange this as well. I want to put this one up the top and this one down the bottom, and I want to make these the same width. And so let's just do that, and let's change the height of this one. So you can see how quickly it is to to manipulate these things, Scott. And then I'm going to use you can see now I'm using the guides there to be able to guide this element into place. So with that done, let's have a look at our things here. Intermittent touchscreen responsiveness. Now that's really related to the display. So I'm going to use an association relationship and relate those things. I can use my my quick guides there, line that one up. Now these other ones implement dynamic pricing based on real-time parking meters, and this other one, inconsistent network connectivity. Well, that's definitely to do with the parking meter itself. This dynamic pricing thing, is it part of that, or is it part of something else here? The payment reader things. It's really not part of the payment reader. It's part of the core features of the parking meter. So let's attach that one again as well. We can use one of our relationships there. So we've got that. We'll just move that into location, and you can see there, Scott, I've got an incredibly interesting narrative about the parking meter. You can see all the details of what the parking meter is doing, the digital meter thing, and I can look at all of these, these changes, issues.
Do you have some kind of traceability? So let's say you came back a week later and you wanted to see all of the issues that were related to a particular element.
Yeah, interesting question, Scott. So if I look at the traceability, I can, even without this diagram open, I can be back in my class model there and click on this, and we have a traceability window, and you can see here that we've got a number of things displayed over here where you can see what is connected to that. Now there were only two things connected, and you can see what they are because you can see that cross on it, and what type of element that one is, and you can see that's the issue in there, and you can see if we expand this one out and then go back to that, you can see again that the implement dynamic pricing there was a change. Now if I click on this one here, you'll see that it's the intermittent touchscreen responsiveness. So
all the effort you've put in doesn't get lost it's still maintained even on another diagram. You can
Yeah,
quickly track things down. Yeah.
Scott, that's you kind of got to the core of, I guess, the difference between Enterprise Architect, this incredibly powerful tool that that has got so many different views in it, and a typical vanilla sort of drawing package what people might
Yeah.
use to draw a raster-based diagram. It doesn't have any of that metadata behind it. It doesn't have any way of relating other elements to things. So that's an incredibly powerful thing. And I can simply look at this display and say, well, what other views is this display in? And I can look at it and say, look and find in all diagrams. And then I can see issues, defects, and things. You can see it's actually included in a number of other diagrams, but I can quickly open that diagram up, and there I have it. So just also to make the relationship between what we talked about when we opened this video and started displaying this, was that I made the remark that this is a different mechanism to what's available from the construct ribbon and the project management and change management panels there. You can see over here that we've got this decision, and that's been applied to the element. But it's not, if I open that one up and let's go open in list, you can see that it's not a modeled element. It's in a list, which has its own power, Scott. It's another way of doing similar thing. But when you're wanting to model things because you want to have make interesting discussions about them, that's a very useful thing to do. And we can obviously connect other elements. So, for example, when people started working on these defects, a developer or someone in a support thing can actually link development work or changes to this defect, and then you can see the whole chain of how this has been how this defect has been dealt with. So incredibly powerful feature of the tool, Scott. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to create a little bit of your magic, and we'll just go through and we'll put populate this a bit more with a few additional issues and changes. If we can just perform that magic, that would be great.
Sounds good.
So thank you for that, Scott. We've completed some additional issues, changes, and defects there. And you can see over in the project browser, we've now got a number of different issues. And this list could get, quite long depending upon the type of project you're working on. But there's a variety of things here. We've got an issue about vandalism and physical damage to the meter. We've got a change that's saying enable SMS and email receipts for parking transactions. We've got, integrate electric vehicle charging capabilities at a selected parking meter location. And you can notice on the diagram what I've done a couple of things. What I've done is enabled the colors to be reflect the status of these elements, and I've also added the payment reader and this additional defect that the payment terminal freezes during high traffic periods. I wanted to show you this, Scott, that you're not just limited to attach one of these defects to a single element. You can attach them to multiple elements and also at different levels. So this is at our entity level, but we could be attaching things at a data level, at a strategic level, at a development level, down at the code level. If we wanted to be able to find out exactly why that's happening, it could be a manufacturer's fault, so we may be wanting to link that up to something else. But you can see over in the properties window here that what we've got when we select an element is we've got a status there, and that's saying status in progress, and that's what's giving it that green band on the left-hand side. And we look at this one here, you can see over here it's approved. This one over here is... If
you change that, does that automatically change the status color?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So let's do that. Let's presume that this one over here was proposed. So let's look at this proposed one and say that it it's been moved to validated. So if I selected that there and went, I'm going to select that as being validated, you can see it immediately changes in the diagram, and everyone will see that view, Scott. And of course, these colors and the list of statuses are all configurable in the reference data panel. So I just wanted to say this is a very useful way to to model issues, changes, and defects, and other elements that we had in our project management toolbox. So we had, a whole range of things there in our toolbox. You can see, that we've just touched on a few of them. So I encourage people who are listening to the video to look at some of these other ones. Now we're going to look actually in the next, a little bit of a sneak preview. We're going to be looking at user stories, Scott, in the next video. So that's something to stay tuned to.
That sounds great. All right. Well, thank you very much, Stephen. I'd like to remind our audience to like, comment, and subscribe to the Sparx Systems YouTube channel, so you can keep up to date with the latest information from Sparx Systems about Enterprise Architect and Prolaborate and Pro Cloud Server and all of our other tools. I look forward to seeing videos in the future. We love hearing from our audience, so if you have any comments or suggestions, please feel free to leave them. Thank you very much for your time today, Stephen. It was very, very impressive and interesting to see some of the traceability and how easy it is to go beyond just a simple diagramming tool and have such interconnectedness and depth of information on a model.
Always a pleasure, Scott.